I never wanted to claim I was a journalist. That label was thrust upon me by individuals in New York following Occupy Wall Street. They wanted to prance around talking about the new young upstart that is me and how what I was doing was journalism. At the time, I viewed it more as just sharing information. I didn't think twice about it. I came from the hacker community. Today, many of these same people are outraged that Tim Pool is a journalist. I want to make something clear. First of all, look at this story. NYU Journalism School hires ex-New York fact-checker who falsely said ICE agent had a Nazi tattoo. Talia Lavin's undergraduate course, Reporting on the Far Right, will kick off the fall semester of 2019. Oh, please. She's a left-wing activist, okay? She worked for Media Matters for America and wrote activist smear pieces. Why NYU Journalism School hired her is the mask has been removed. The mask has been removed. NYU Journalism School is overtly hiring someone who falsely accused someone of having a Nazi tattoo and worked for an activist organization. You want to ask me why I didn't want to work for these companies anymore? Because they don't care about facts. They don't care about the truth. They just want to report on the far right. Oh, I'm sure a far left activist, okay, who writes smear pieces is going to teach people how to accurately report. Someone who is fired. Oh, I'm sorry. Resigned. She had to resign after she posted fake news and was a fact checker. Yes. See, here's the thing. Let's talk about journalism. Let's talk about Tim Pool flying around the world, 75 flights per year for 4 years, going on the ground in Ukraine, Venezuela, Turkey, Egypt, Brazil, Singapore. Like, the list goes on. Ooh, Thailand. Thailand was fun. These people want to claim that simply because in the past year or so, I've started doing more commentary, that means I'm no longer a journalist. Sorry. You, who have been an activist your whole life, are absolutely not a journalist. You quit, you resigned from your job after posting fake news, and then went and worked for an activist organization. Does Tim Pool on his personal channels have an opinion? Yeah, you're watching my opinion channel. Also, you can see any other journalist, left-wing or otherwise, posting their opinions on Twitter, because journalism today is effectively dead. Now, as for Subverse, you may be wondering, the new channel I've launched, subscribe if you haven't already, gonna be pretty boring, straight news. Why? Because I'm a journalist. Yes, I'll make content with my opinion, but more importantly, on the Subverse channel, we are doing our best to remove that. And this is why I have other people sourcing certain stories and topics so that my personal bias is removed to the best of my ability. And I'm funding other people who want to help do on-the-ground reporting. So far, it's very small. But you'll notice my videos on Subverse are me just kind of boringly talking to the camera. Not much opinion, if any, at all. But let's read about why a journalism school would hire a far-left activist. New York University has hired Talia Lavin as an adjunct journalism professor less than a year after the former New Yorker fact-checker resigned after falsely accusing an immigration and customs enforcer agent of having a Nazi tattoo. Lavin's undergraduate course, let's open that up, Reporting on the Far Right, will kick off the fall semester of 2019 at NYU's Arthur L. Carter Journalism Institute. In his official faculty bio, the university billed Lavin as an expert in far-right extremism and social justice. That's not true, considering she falsely accused the guy of having a Nazi tattoo because she clearly has no idea what she's talking about. Boy, their standards. So awful. But I'll put it this way. I like saying this. The mask is slipped. NYU is not a journalism school. It's an activism school. And they're hiring activists who falsely accused people to report on, to teach people how to report. Yes. What a great expense. At least one current NYU journalism student questioned the decision to hire Lavin. I sympathize with Lavin's politics, but I don't know why someone who had to quit their journalism job for falsely implying someone is a Nazi should be teaching at NYU. They shouldn't, said the student, who requested anonymity for fear of academic reprisal. I know there are plenty of reporters out there in need of work who haven't made a mistake like that. Yes, lots of them. Good ones, too. I know many of them. I do. They exist. Lavin declined to comment for the story. Reps for NYU, the school's journalism department, and university president Andrew Hamilton did not respond to requests for comment. I will also add I reached out to NYU for comment, and they told me the only person who could comment was currently unavailable because it's their spring break. So maybe I'll follow up. I don't know. Whatever. After leaving The New Yorker last June, Lavin was hired by the liberal media watchdog group Media Matters for America less than a month later to focus on far-right extremism. Yes, she worked for an activist organization. What? Well, of course she wants to teach about far-right extremism. She's biased to an absurd degree. More importantly, look, okay, I'll say this. I'm biased. She's much more biased to the left than I am. I'm like center biased, okay? That's fine. However, she got things wrong and had to quit her job because of it. She's the last person who should be teaching kids how to do their job right. Though her LinkedIn profile lists that she currently works there. A spokesperson for the organization confirmed that she was no longer employed there. An additional person with knowledge of the matter said she left several months ago. I'd also like to point out that she wrote a piece that used fake news. And when I asked her to, hey, this is fake, by the way, her response to me was something that like I smelled like farts, or that she hoped a bird pooped on my hat or something. And I actually brought this up to the guy who runs Media Matters at Politico when he claimed that fake news or like conspiracy theories. I don't want to be definitive here because I can't remember exactly what he said, but something along the line of the right, fake news problem, conspiracy theories are unique among the right. And when I asked him about his own organization putting out a fake story about me, and the response I got from his staff member, he said, "You should, I don't know what you're talking about," and then walked off. And I was like, yeah, of course you don't, whatever. I know he really didn't, but it's absurd for him to assert that when his own organization was doing something like this. Neither Lavin's 3-year tenure at The New Yorker nor her stint at Media Matters are mentioned on her official NYU faculty bio. Lavin's career promptly blew up last June after she accused Justin Gertner, a wheelchair-bound ICE agent, of having a Nazi Iron Cross tattoo on his left elbow. Lavin made the charge in a tweet after viewing a photo of him online. She later deleted the tweet after she said a number of people responded and informed her that the tattoo in question appeared to be a Maltese cross, a symbol commonly used by members of the U.S. veterans of foreign wars. That, however, was not enough for the critics. The story blew up on social media, and Lavin even earned a lengthy rebuke from ICE itself, as well as The New Yorker. The personal social media accounts of staff members do not represent the magazine, and we in no way share the viewpoint expressed in the tweet. But you'd think a fact checker would know how to fact check. A magazine spokesperson told National Review, "The tweet has been deleted and we deeply regret any harm that this may have caused Mr. Gertner." In a tweet thread, Lavin soon announced her resignation from the magazine and apologized to Gertner over, let's call it Gartner, over the error. She also criticized ICE, saying it was not acceptable for the agency to attack her personally over her mistake. "This has been a wild and difficult week. I owe ICE agent Justin Gartner a sincere apology for spreading an rumor about his tattoo. However, I do not think it's acceptable for a federal agency to target a private citizen for a good faith, hastily rectified error." Is that what you call it? Well, let's take a look at NYU's journalism school, which is probably going to be a huge waste of your money and time. Warn your kids. So the 2019 fall, what is this? I actually don't know where you pulled this up. Let me do a search. Let's do oh, there we go. Elective reporting topics, reporting on the far right. Here we go. Instructor, Talia Lavin. Oof, I feel so bad for these kids, man. Listen, why are you doing an activism school at journal? This is why I didn't want to work in media after I left Fusion. Because I saw the writing on the walls. I saw where the industry was going. I don't want to work for an organization, nor do I want to run an organization that is going to pull off this complete and utter BS. Admittedly, it's getting really hard to cover certain stories because the culture war is extremely, angers people. So take a look at some of the stuff we've done with Subverse, right? We've had Emily Molly go on the ground to various protests, left-wing protests, because you don't often see right-wing ones, nor do right-wingers show up to left-wing events. And we've gotten some extreme outrage from people, albeit it's rare. Most people understand what we're doing. When we go on the ground and interview protesters, which I did, not that long ago at a few DC rallies, and in recent times, we've had Emily on the ground. When she talks to people, the goal is no gotcha questions. We're not here to make anyone look stupid. If you look stupid, it's your own fault. We're just here to better understand why the protest is happening and what people think. When you hear what these protesters think, you can then make a determination about what you think about them or whether or not they're right or wrong. At these protests, there is no other side. There's no other right-wing protester, and we've had a few people get mad about that. There's nothing you can do. It makes things challenging. But you will not see us ranting and raving and waving our arms in the air about Nazi tattoos or anything like that, especially particularly without evidence. And we're very, very careful about labeling and accusations, and we're probably going to avoid a lot of that. But because of our refusal to take sides and label certain people, they will come for us. Don't get me wrong. Admittedly, it's very obvious to anybody that Subverse exists more in the centrist intellectual dark web sphere of conversation because we're willing to sit down and have real conversations and talk about ideas with whoever. And, it is the way it is, right? Free and open expression. But here we have, let's see. The course will also teach students vital tactics in identifying and tracking the spread of far-right movements online, with the aid of landmark investigations on the subject and guest speakers who are working reporters on the beat. So what they're saying is, the NYU has brought on a far-left activist who worked for a far-left activist organization to bring in other far-left activists who have infiltrated the media sphere to teach young people about far-left propaganda. Great. Listen, whatever you want to call the far-left, the far-right, no one seems to agree on what any of it means. The Anti-Defamation League says black supremacy is left and white supremacy is right. I have no idea how that makes sense. I'll say this. Extremism is bad. Violence is bad. Anybody who would be part of an organization that tries to sow violence and incite violence is a bad person, and we should call them out. But the idea that you're only going to focus on the far right is absurd, especially when you have a far left activist teaching. Here's what I propose. Reporting on extremism and radicalization. And it's important not just to talk about the far right, but to talk about the far left and talk about religious extremism. For some reason, though, Christian extremism or like Catholic extremism is typically referred to as right-wing for whatever reason, but Islamic isn't. It's just not. I don't know how any of this stuff works. No one understands. None of it makes sense. But I'll point out, when you have something like New Zealand, you will see me make many, many videos about it. And in almost every single video, I'll condemn the actions. What more can you do? We all understand this person was a dangerous lunatic, and the media is now feeding into and giving exactly what he wants. But when it comes to instances of this, the far left extremism and radicalization encroaching, we have to call it out. It happens more often. It's a fact. Let me spend one more minute talking about Kit O'Connell. This is not a person of particular significance, but you may have seen Count Dankula and others and Notch tweeting out a screenshot or image from Kit O'Connell. Kit O'Connell is as far left as you could possibly go. He's a far left authoritarian of a rather extreme degree. He's aggressive, angry, fervent, and violent. However, during Occupy Wall Street, when I denounced Antifa tactics, black bloc violence, when I supported free speech for conservatives, in my live stream defended the rights of conservatives to be in my live stream challenging the left, people said, ban these people, Tim. They're conservatives. Ban them. I said, no, they're allowed to be here. Free speech is for everybody. I did all of that. I was physically attacked for it. Kit asked me to come to Austin and hosted me at his event with his friends, where we talked about those ideas and how to better report. Today, Kit is calling me a Nazi. He's calling PewDiePie a Nazi and Count Dankula and Sam Harris and Lacey Green. He's literally calling everyone a Nazi while shrieking. And I sent him a message asking him, listen to, look at the things I said in 2011. All of those things, which are still true today, criticizing Antifa, being attacked by them, and you were willing to invite me out. It shows that today you've been radicalized, and I hope you can reflect on how you were pulled into extremism. His response to me was that if I ever, something about coming to Austin to see how they deal with, Nazi fascists like me or something like that, a threat. And this is what's been happening. Should we have a course on that? I'll tell you what, you want to report on the far right, report on the radicalization of the far left through the media. And I'd like to teach students about the radicalization of news organizations and the NYU Journalism School bringing on far left activists with fringe conspiracy ideas to teach their students. Look, you don't have the far right infiltrating media organizations. You don't. They're denounced universally. In fact, even centrists get the short end of the stick. But the far left is here, and they're in your schools. They're in the government. It is what it is. Stick around. I got one more video coming up in like 30 seconds. I'll see you then.